So Temple Ashaju, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, has a lot to talk about to wrap up the program. But let's start with yesterday's market review. Temple, good morning. Let's have about a minute or two to review where we finished off on Wednesday. Are the stock market, are the NESD over-the-counter, and the fixed income space, which is the Treasury bills market and the bond market. Good morning. Take us through that. Then we'll get to the State of Osun Governors expected presentation and market closing at 2:30.
Well, yesterday, Bosin, as you know, we had a little bit of decline again, even though we know that the insurance sector actually recorded more gains yesterday in the market. Talk about the likes of Law Union and Rock Insurance. They've been recording some gains lately because, you know, there's a recapitalization of that particular sector large is in the air. And a lot of those listed insurance firms in the market have been talking to investors here and there, trying to get some funding, liquidity support, you know, ahead of the June 30 deadline for 2020. So that's what we saw yesterday. These banks these insurance companies rather made some gains. Yes, some tier one banks too continue to record gains yesterday. Stanbic IBTC, Guarantee Trust Bank, Zenith Bank continue to get some more demands, which started at the beginning of the week, and that was why we saw these particular banks close positive yesterday. But if we go by the sectoral analysis, that was not too good. All of the sectors ended in red yesterday, and that is simply because as we saw some demands on those banks and of course the insurance sectors, we also saw some profit takers that were recouping money, you know, given the fact that they've actually invested when the prices of these stocks were much lower than the spots where they are at this point in time. That's the reason why we saw that decline yesterday. More importantly, Dangote Cement was also down yesterday. Recorded decline by more than 1% yesterday, and that also impacted the indices of the market negatively as the market closed yesterday. We know that the volume of transaction was a bit moderate. Value of the transaction for yesterday was also moderate. For the NASD OTC, there was a little bit of gains yesterday. That's because, of course, the prices have also reduced, and we understand that when investors do valuations or traders do valuations like this, they will begin to, reinvest. That was why we saw a bit of gain on that side of the market yesterday, even though interest was just on a few companies tradable on that platform. More importantly as well, I think that investors are now considering some of the primary market activities, the rights issues going on a couple of companies on that platform. And of course, finally, for the fixed income side of the market, investors continue to weigh their options since they've been, individuals and some corporate banks have now been edged out of OMO auctions. They've been checking in on the bonds and, of course, the treasury side of the market, cherry picking on where they can have more interest. So the treasury bill side of things, I understand that there was a bit of cold shoulder given to the short end of the curve. That's why we saw the level of deals that was recorded yesterday, Bosin.
Yes, that's quite significant. Thank you, Tempo. But as we speak, we'll talk about the briefing by the Osun State Governor. But again, as we speak, I'm just checking through, and I'm seeing about 500 million shares of Jais Bank just being traded this morning, and the share price is up a little above 1%. That is big news. In fact, that's close to 2% on Jais Bank. 500 million shares for this small cap bank listed on the market. Something is moving. In fact, someone is moving. Okay, they just chuck that out later for the afternoon. This is a non-interest bank listed here. So when 500 million shares of a bank like that moves, then the price moves as well to the north. Then someone or some folks are moving things around the box. But let's talk about the Osun State or State of Osun. That's how that state styled itself. Says it's a state of Osun. That's been there. Now, the governor, who is just about a year in office or so, is doing the big splash, as it were. Today is going to be on the trading floor where you are standing later. Then you're going to brief the market. Talk to us about this, Tempo.
Well, we know that just like Ekiti State did the other time,
Yes.
Osun State is also coming to do facts behind its economy at this point in time. Again, the reasons are not far-fetched simply because we all know that revenues for the entire country have actually declined, and we know that the federal government has also started deducting some of these funds that were given to states to settle their bonds and debts, bonds and debts, of course, debts to banks and all of that a few years ago. So the deduction has now begun, and it is beginning to affect a lot of these states one way or the other. So Osun State is also one of these states rather affected. Again, this is a good state to a large extent. They've got a lot of potentials. They've got a lot of mineral resources deposits in that particular state. We know that the unemployment rate there is one of the lowest as at June 2019 this year, half-year numbers released by the NBS. That reflects that I think it's around 10 point something basis points or thereabouts. So it is one state that will also continue to look for funds. Basically, what the governor is coming to do is talk about the potentials in the state, talk about the needs to invest in the state. Whatever area or sector, aspect of that state, that economy, he wants investments to go to, we will have to wait till noon today when he will be interacting with the brokers on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. You know that there are few corporates in Osun State as well, in spite of the fact that they currently generate, as in 2018, their IGR was in the region of 10.38 billion naira or thereabout. So this is a state that really needs to boost its revenue. Currently, what they make is from taxes, from payee, from revenues generated by MDAs, and of course, what is deducted from salaries of states. They need to boost this. This is a state that has lots of mineral resources. They've got gold, alluvial gold, I understand, has been discovered in Osun State since 1940.
A quick
and
one
they
here.
need investments in this particular area.
Temple, okay, yeah, we have a few minutes. I was just thinking, I can see the image of the state governor at the background there, where the closing gong is. Looking forward to see if the cameraman can just push across your shoulder and get that image emboldened for us to see that is a bit of a welcome there. But again, we've seen state governments stayed away from the market streets, in particular the stock market, in recent years. Now it looks they're coming back, and Oscar Onyema is the one who will be saying welcome back to all of them. Now that, as you said, things are not as rosy as they used to be. Now everybody's back to the drawing board, as it were, and they are coming back. They're flying in droves. So, do you see this as an opener? From Ekiti State, which is just next to Osun State. The Osun State is there. You see the likelihood of more states coming through before the end of the year, perhaps early next year?
Maybe not before the end of the year, but perhaps by next year, because this year is almost ended already. About next year, I think more states will begin to partner with the private sector, which is what Ekiti State government is indicating by way of intent the last time they came to the market here. They talked about the initial partnership they had with listed company UAC PLC. Perhaps that will be revamped next year as we launch into 2020. And that is the way to go as far as these states are concerned at this point in time. Perhaps they will be partnering with some states. Osun State, on its own part, has listed its own mortgage bank, which is to be Omoluagvi Savings and Loans. It is listed here in the market. And in recent time, we've seen some participation on this particular company. So perhaps this is a company that also had a BBB rating by Augusto, and of course it is to expire, but it has actually expired. It expired on June 30, 2019. So when the governor speaks today, perhaps we'll hear from him, because I know that they still have interest in Omoluabi Mortgage Bank.
Yes, the Tempo in 30 seconds. That's what I just got. Air Liquid also doing a briefing today, not on that floor, for the NESD.
Stockbrokers actually will be expecting to hear from them regarding where they want to channel those funds to, because it's a 414 million units of shares that they are actually offering at 5 naira, and they're giving provisional allotment of some 23 ordinary shares of 50 kobo for every 10 held by existing shareholders or investors that qualify for assets the 15th of October. So today, these traders will be able to get more details and be able to see if they will channel their funds to Air Liquid or not, because this is a gas solution company present here in Lagos, and they have extension in Indonesia.
Yeah, if you're in the oil and gas business or hydrocarbon, you always make the front page. Investors want to listen. There's a lot of money there. Yes, hydrocarbon is still sweet. Thank you, Temple. Let's leave it there today. You have quite a very busy day on your hands in Lagos, downtown Market Street. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'll see you again next time.